You know, the moment I was at this Florida event invited by Governor DeSantis, various primary debates that were taking place, I watched this Cory Mills. It was a crowded field for the Republican nomination for that particular district. And after I watched him engage one of the guys up there, I said, I'm going to endorse this guy. He's just good. And I'm really proud that I did, Cory Mills. You've turned out to be quite the star in the House of Representatives, not because you want to be a star, but because you fight for your principles. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for that, Mark. I really appreciate that.
Cory Mills, it seems to me where there are problems, where there's trouble, you get on the first flight and you go find out what the hell's going on. I want you to tell the American people what you have found the last few days in our own country. FEMA, the Harris-Biden administration, people suffering. I'm going to give you the floor.
Well, Mark, I really appreciate that. Look, as you kind of led up to, this is not my first encounter with the failures of this administration. I conducted the first successful overland rescue of Americans, a mother and 3 children from Amarillo, Texas, out of Afghanistan in 2021. After the October 7th horrendous and horrific incident by the Iran terrorist regime, Hamas, killing over 1,200 innocent lives in Israel, I had flown over there, conducted the first 32 American rescue on October 11th, another following subsequently after that next day from Tiberias, Nazareth, Haifa, West Bank, Jerusalem, over toward Gaza, getting 255 Americans out of Israel in 2023. And then even recently, before the North Carolina incident, rescued 23 Americans and 59 mentally and physically disabled children out of Haiti this year. I mean, this pattern of abandonment and foreign policy failure is continuing throughout this, and I just can't imagine another 4 years. And since I've been here, you see FEMA, who has not been here for almost a week, that is coming in and trying to confiscate without any lawful authorization or authority or jurisdiction, trying to deny people access into areas that they've been operating in, rescuing lives. We ourselves have been here for 5 days, Mark. We've dropped over 22,000 pounds of supplies that we have brought in thanks to Glenn Beck and Mercury One and other organizations like Universal Air. We've brought everything from water and food and non-perishable diapers, wipes, generators. We've brought oxygen bottles. We've brought insulin. We've brought all kinds of things to include search and rescue missions, hoist operations, medevacs, which I got a report today that I was really happy to hear from one of the gentlemen that our team had evacuated from Bailey, North Carolina, to Johnson City, who was showing cardiac arrest symptoms, who is still in the hospital, but the doctor said that had we not gotten him there, that he most certainly would have died. We evacuated a young woman yesterday, 73 years old, showing signs of infection from bone disease. And again, you know, we've been blessed with the opportunity to be able to do this, but the bottom line is that FEMA has done nothing to be a hindrance. And when Biden came in, he came in knowing that we were within that critical window at the 96-hour point where this starts to become less about rescues and more about body recovery. And he put a TFR, a 30-mile flight restriction around the most impacted areas that grounded every helicopter, every evacuation capability, every search and rescue capability, every health and welfare check for 4 hours between 12 o'clock and 4 p.m. It's not just incompetence and fecklessness. It's just inconsiderate, and literally all that for a photo op, which could have cost lives. I had a report today, Mark, that was shocking. You may hear mainstream media and everyone else talk about a fatality count of about 220. I had someone at the hospital tell me today, and this is unconfirmed, but I will get it on record, that they know of at least 405 fatalities. So what we're being sold, this magic beans, or this bag of goods by this administration and by mainstream media, is not correct. They want us to turn our eyes away from what is happening here. They want this to be another Maui, another Palestine, Ohio. They don't want this to be on them as a failure by FEMA. They don't want to admit to the over $1 billion they repurposed and reallocated from the Federal Emergency Management Agency who is declared to help natural disasters and catastrophic events like this on the U.S. soil towards criminal migrants. They don't want to talk about the five-star hotels in New York they're putting criminal migrants in when you don't have people up in the mountains here who can't get down, who are cut off from supplies, and meanwhile they're saying, well, we'll give you $750. This America Last agenda, Mark, is something I had never thought I would see, having served proudly in the United States Army as an Army combat veteran out of the 82nd Airborne Division, having people in the 82nd Airborne Division whose families are here in Western North Carolina who are filing to try and go on leave and having their leave denied to even come here to be able to help and support. I've never seen, and when I tell you the videos that I've posted, I do a daily wrap-up on X, day 1, day 2, day 3. Some of the videos I post looks like areas that I'd went through in Iraq in 2003 where we would send artillery in to soften up enemy targets before we would go. There's cities in the United States and North Carolina that looks exactly like that.
God. You know, I want us to link to that, Mr. Producer, so before you hang up when we part, Cory, I want you to give that link information to, or your people, to Mr. Producer so I can get it on all my social sites. Now,
yes, sir.
The other thing going on here is Biden is taking a victory lap. You know, he went there. Kamala Harris was gone for 4 days. She comes and has a quick meeting at FEMA. And I was telling the audience, you know, you have pre-hurricane or pre-natural event meetings, especially when you can predict hurricanes, and this one was predicted. Trump used to go to those, Pence used to go to those, and so forth and so on. Kamala Harris didn't go to any of them. Not one of them.
That's right.
And now she comes in and says, we're going to give you
$700. About the border, Mark, she said, well, I've not been to Europe either. I said, remember when she was asked, has she gone to the border yet? Her response was, well, I haven't been to Europe either.
Yeah, well, we found out she hadn't been to Israel either. I guess I don't know what her problem is. You've got 1 minute. I know you have to run. Let's sum it up, Cory Mills. What final word do you want to tell the American people?
That your federal government is failing you, that I'm sorry. But as a United States Congressmember, whether you live in Florida, 7th District, or anywhere in our great union, if you're in trouble, I'm going to come for you. And if Biden's not going to do his job, I'll do it for him. And that's the American spirit. And I'm watching Americans help Americans. And that's what gives me hope. You're
fantastic. You really are. God bless you, my friend. And thanks for coming on. And don't hang up. I want that link so we can spread the word. Take care of yourself, Cory Mills.